Fam, I want to talk about connection. I want to talk about sex, honestly, and how beautiful sex is as a level of communication, because I believe that sex is one of the highest levels of communication there is, and that God made it a beautiful, sacred thing that we can experience. I think that unfortunately I missed out on saving it for marriage. I experienced it with some other people, and I believe that it was a beautiful level of communication then too. Yet, as I learned more about cherishing and honoring the woman, and just really embracing more of that and respecting her through that process until we're married, it's been a beautiful process. I said process probably 4 times. I do recognize that. What an opportunity. What I want to say is that I think that the sexual energy is a beautiful thing to channel. As a young male, I think I was talking on Heaven Percent podcast. If you guys haven't went and checked that out yet, please go check it out right now. Subscribe, and man, we got podcasts coming 2 times a week, and they are so beautiful. Such great conscious conversations. And I wanted to note how basically there are limitations, and those limitations can also allow us to really grow. Sorry, we got a baby crying in the background. He's not feeling so good. Julia, my wife, is up there taking care of him right now. Poor buddy. Hold on one second. In the midst of those limitations, you can also use those limitations, that sexual drive that you have at a young age. I honestly think of Wabash College. Guys, I literally, and I said this on the podcast too, but I had a problem. I had an opportunity. I would literally masturbate almost 3 times a day and still make time for everything else. And it's like, what? How do you do that? And I think that we can channel that sexual energy, that sexual drive towards business and growth and learning and personal development. There's a lot more that can come from it. Now, what I've found too is that now that I have a wife and I've been able to communicate with her at the highest level, it's super beautiful to see all these different conversations that come from men needing sex. We don't need it, okay? It is a beautiful want, and we need to communicate with our wives if it's possible. I think that anything outside of your relationship with God is not a necessity, if you will. And people even survive on this earth without a relationship with God. Yet I believe that it's not good for man to withhold all of that for too long. I think that semen retention is powerful, and that fasting and all these beautiful things help us get closer to God and closer to ourselves. And that's a beautiful process. Yet I have also found that for people to make the claim that men don't need it, I would also say if you look at the feminine polarity and look at the woman side, females, for them to say they don't need emotional connection, right? That's bullcrap. And sure, maybe they don't need it, but it is a beautiful thing for them to have. It's a beautiful thing for men to have the physical connection as well, and that climax and that stimulation. I think that with occupational therapy, that's something that I work with a lot of my geriatric patients. They sometimes have just thrown that to the curb for years. It's like, what? No, sex is a beautiful thing. Kegel exercises, all these different things to allow pelvic floor strengthening and for them to get back into that ADL, because sex is an ADL. Activities of daily living, dressing, bathing, toileting management, functional mobility, sex, sleep, all those things. And so I love doing activity analysis and studying that. And it's not often that I do the sex part, but there are some times where we got to find a way for that, for patients to live a lovely rest of their life with their wife or husband. and positioning, ergonomics, all that type of stuff is important. And I think that it's important for us to, realize that it is a beautiful thing if you can feed your man and feed your woman, right? For you to both submit to each other and communicate at that high level. And in that submission, I don't mean like a way of going under the person, besides pun intended. But like, no, like it's a submitting to like, I love you, I cherish you, and I want to like do that at another level. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. Seriously, beautiful thing for men to emotionally love their women, because that's more of their desire, and then men to, I'd love to connect emotionally too. So I think that when men can find their emotions and identify with those better, it gets a lot more beautiful in life too. Because a lot of men, and even sometimes women that are more in their masculine polarity, they numb out, right? They don't know what it is to feel or what they're feeling. And I think that that's very important. I think that, it's huge, for people to learn how to communicate and communicate internally. Like, what's going on inside? What am I feeling right now? That's a huge thing, And so that's what I want to talk about tonight, is just a conscious conversation around sexual chemistry and sexual relationship and communication. And that if you look at a marriage too, like, it is a beautiful thing. God made sex to be this beautiful, beautiful covenant and level of communication with husband and wife. And I think that we ought not to miss out on that if possible. I think that another thing that I think about too is just like loving your husband or wife well and making sure that they're well fed. Like, some people are like, oh, you got kids, like all this kind of stuff you don't understand. It's like, sure, I'm starting to, because I'm growing a legacy with a family now with kids. And I think that I'm going to continue to structure and schedule it out. That's okay. You're like, oh, it's not as intimate and spontaneous. Like, what are you? Sure, that's the meaning that you create. I think that it's intentional and that it's structured so that way we can make sure that we are both fed and that we are both experiencing the deepest level of communication and the highest level of communication that we can with each other. So make sure that you're feeding each other, because I don't want my wife being anywhere hungry, right? I think she's strong and she's faithful and she's loyal. And I think the same thing for me. And why make her hungry though, right? If I can feed her and help her to climax however many times she needs to, and like make sure that she's satiated and satisfied, like, that's a beautiful thing. That, and when you are having sex, it is not just satisfying them physically on a orgasmic climax level. I'm talking like spiritually, mentally, emotionally, and physically. Like, it hits all of those metaphysical properties. So that was something that I wanted to really embrace tonight. It's been a beautiful process for me to love my wife well, and for her to do the same with me. And I think that a lot of us have that opportunity to love our partners well and to make time for it. So, I want to come on here and just talk about sex. Let's talk about sex, baby. Let's talk about you and me. Let's talk about you and me. Anyways. Not anyways. I am excited. It's funny too, I'm even nervous to talk about this on YouTube, because like, I don't know if that's going to get flagged or what. I know that it's for adults and older, but I think these are conversations that we all need to have. So make time. That's what I'm going to say. Make time for your partner. Make time to structure out the highest level and deepest level of communication that you can, so that you can love them well. And you'll find that you will also be able to love better too, and more effectively. What a beautiful opportunity. I love you all immensely. And pray that we can all keep God first. And remember that you take you everywhere that you go. Because no matter where you go, there you are. And let's be where our feet are. What an opportunity. Love you, fam. Claire, shh.